Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Friday, December 23rd. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Peach Bowl game against Georgia is in 8 days, the game against Michigan in 337 days. This has been a crazy week or so, which has meant that the show I wanted to do about this time last week kept getting pushed back and back and back because of news happening in and around the program. So today, we finally get a chance to do it. So it is the first of two shows we're going to be hearing directly from the Buckeyes about the upcoming Peach Bowl, what this month has been like inside the Woody, and a lot more. And we're going to start with JT Tuimoloau. He got up in front of the team in the days following the Michigan game, and this was before they knew whether they were going to make the playoffs. And he gave an impassioned speech about how they really just needed to keep going, keep fighting, because you never knew what was going to happen. Their ultimate goals were still a possibility. So you're going to hear a bunch of his answers played back to back because he got asked a lot of questions about this. So we're going to start with what was his motivation to give that speech, and then what were those first practices were like when they weren't sure yet whether they'd know whether they're going to make the playoff or not. And then how this is really not something he typically would do, but why he decided to do it in this case.
You know, all the guys in this program are pretty much my motivation. It was something I felt like, we just need to get back on track. And, these boys pushed me to go my hardest and bring out, the best of me every day. So, I feel like as being a young buck and being around them, I know where we are as a team. I know what we can bring. So, I just want to come and just reiterate that, the job's not finished. Those first practices, it was just, like you said, we didn't know. But I think, we picked it up and, we was like, man, we always talked about there's a big faith here in God. And I think we just had to reiterate that, the job's not finished and there's still a lot to be done. And we got a chance now. We just got to keep our heads down and keep going. No, it was more just a conversation with myself and my family. As being a kid, a young buck, being kind of shy, it was just something I felt like, and I think something God pretty much just told me one day, like, hey, this is it's your chance to just bring the team back together, and I took that chance and ran with it. I think that was something that's been developed not last couple of years, but just in my life, really. There's been moments in my life where I had to get out my comfort zone and use my voice that God gifted me with and keep going. He came from God. I woke up one day and I just had something in my my heart that I felt like I just needed to say something, and I asked the older boys for their thoughts of a young guy speaking, and they all ran me with that time to give me the opportunity to talk, and I thank them for trusting me. Even though I'm a sophomore, thank you to them and the coaches for trusting me and allowing me to say something. Yeah, growing up, it was I wasn't very loud or talkative like that, but big props to my dad for always in my family really for always just letting me know, like, hey, you have a voice and it's powerful, and you got to keep using it. Like I said, God gifted me with a lot of talents, and you got to use it.
We talked to JT a lot about that speech, but that was not the only thing we talked to him about. I got a chance to ask him about the challenge of facing a quarterback like Stetson Bennett, who has shown a knack for just that little sidestep or dip in the pocket to avoid the rush and extend the play. How does that change how they have to prepare for this game as a defensive line?
We just have to trust Coach J's plan. Stetson is a great quarterback. There's a reason he was a Heisman finalist. And I think out here, CJ does a great job just getting us ready. But at the same time, we just have to trust in Coach J and keep going over film and keep working.
A big piece of that defensive line is going to be Mike Hall. Now, he's missed a big chunk of the season with an injury, but is feeling much better and is now ready to go against the Bulldogs. This is another one where he answered a whole bunch of different questions on the topic, so you're going to hear several of those answers here back to back.
I feel a lot better just having these couple of weeks off leading up to the games, just getting that rest. We still, our priority is still Georgia, but, this allows us to get these couple of weeks and just get right. Yeah, I'll be 100% leading up to the game. I feel like these weeks will allow me to get better.
How long has it been since you felt that way?
I would say I felt like what is it about? Was it that not Michigan State, but Maryland game? I felt about like 100%. Nah, I still was banged up. I got banged up. Was it this Wisconsin game? And just dealing with that, and just dealing with a little bit of bangs and bruises. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's the hardest thing is just the mental part about it, is just dealing with that and just not getting too much in your feelings going on the field, kind of just you got to go back to the rehab room and just get right with our trainers and take the meds you got to take or whatever, and just try to do everything you can, whatever, just try to get back as close as 100%.
Hall did his very best to play through that injury as much as he could this season, but he was limited 10 or so snaps in several games later in the year. So how big of a challenge is it for him to get ramped back up physically to potentially play a much bigger role in this game against Georgia?
Yeah, I would say right now just dealing with the injuries and not playing as much as I was before. I just have to remind myself in practice, just keep running and keep going a little bit harder because I haven't been playing those 30, 40 snaps, and I've been playing about like 10, 15 snaps. So it's really not really getting in shape. I've been in shape, but just keep that stamina going and just the last of the fourth quarter.
The loss to Michigan was a real body blow to the team, and it really boiled down to basically 5 big plays. So what was it like for them to then have to go back and watch that film? And how much of a motivator is that moving forward?
Yeah, I'll say, just watching the film, what happened in the past happened in the past. We got back to the meeting room with our coaches and we learned like what we did wrong. I don't want to say it right now, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, what happened in the past, it happened, but we just got to learn from it and just take it on the field every day. And I feel like we've been doing that these past couple of days and weeks. I would say it's a huge factor because like only those couple of plays, we probably could have won that game, but you can't really worry about that. That's the past. Coach Day always talks about just worrying about right now. And I mean, we just take that, that loss and that feeling, just come out on the field and we just had that dog mentality. I feel like with everybody and just practice real hard.
One of the big matchups that will go a long way toward determining whether Georgia or Ohio State will advance to the national title game is the interior of the Buckeyes offensive line against Georgia's monster nose tackle Jalen Carter. Luke Wypler is the Buckeye center and will spend most of the night going head-to-head with Carter. So he was asked what makes Carter such a tough matchup.
I think he has a great understanding of football. You can kind of tell he has a great football IQ. He also is able to kind of freelance a little bit in their defense and be able to make plays. And that's kind of one of the things I see is he's a great player, has great ability, great strength, great power, speed, you name it, knows how to work his hands. So it's going to be a great test for our offensive line, and I think we're all really excited to have that opportunity.
Ohio State, and really any team in the country, does not run across a defensive line like this just every day. So how does the offensive line prepare for the kind of challenge they're going to face down in Georgia on the 31st?
Yeah, I think for us as offensive line, we approach it as if we do what we're supposed to do and use our technique, that nobody can really beat us. I think we've shown that this year where when we do the things the right way and the way they should be done and we're all on the same page, it's hard to stop our offense. And for us, that's kind of one of the things that we take pride in is how can you do your job more consistently, especially as this year has gone on, the weeks start growing and growing. So for us, we know he's a great player and he's going to have a hell of a career at the next level. So it's how can we out-execute him play in and play out.
Speaking of things the Buckeyes do not have to run into very often, they are an underdog in this game. This is actually the first time since the 2020 season that the Buckeyes will be an underdog against an opponent. So what has that brought to the program this month?
Oh, we love that. I think, you give anyone the opportunity. I always love being the underdog in any situation. I think this team's going to thrive off that too. And I think it has been the past few days in practice, weeks in practice now. You can kind of tell the intensity's a little different. The vibe's a little different. Everybody's kind of moving with a different sense of purpose. And that underdog feeling is something that like you can't make up in a regular season game when we're playing against some teams. So now that we really feel like we got something to prove, and I think that's really kind of giving everyone a little extra to motivation for every practice.
In addition to having to face a tough Georgia team, the Buckeyes will also be playing in front of a whole lot of Bulldog fans. Ohio State fans will typically dominate neutral site games. That is almost certainly not going to be the case with Georgia playing an hour and a half away from their campus. So I asked Wypler what they were doing to prepare for that.
Yeah, it's a neutral site game, but we know that we're going to be the away team. So it's going to be something that working snap cadences and doing things that are going to help us pre-snap, make sure we limit as many penalties as we can in terms of snap count, infringements, and stuff like that. So for us, it's just things like that, communicating, maybe having the speakers a little louder at practice, make sure we're communicating a little extra loud to prepare for the noise. So yeah, just the little things that you would for any away game.
All right, that's going to do it for today. We will have one more show before we take the day off for Christmas, and then we'll be down in Atlanta to bring you everything you need to know in the lead up to the Peach Bowl. starting to get pretty excited. Should be a fun week down in Atlanta, and quite a football game on the 31st. So that'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.